A medical marijuana bylaw is under consideration for Pembroke that would regulate medical marijuana dispensary centers and their proximity to schools and residential areas. At a recent planning board meeting, the committee decided to not support the current bylaw for the upcoming town meeting because they felt more specifics on an acceptable location of any medical marijuana dispensary needs to be further evaluated. PACTV Community News was at the meeting to bring you this story.
The selectmen originally crafted the original bylaw that we voted on tonight, and that was passed on to the planning board to hold public hearings and then make a recommendation and pass it on to town meeting.
What the Board of Selectmen were trying to do when presenting this bylaw was to protect community standards, plain and simple. We identified areas of concern around school districts, around daycare centers, around competing distribution centers, and around alcohol serving establishments. Not because we were worried about protecting a business that pours alcohol, but we were worried about the opportunities that present themselves when you don't have a regulated industry, an industry that has demonstrated law enforcement issues.
I'm one of the selectmen that voted not in favor of having a medical marijuana dispensary here. And I think I told you at the last hearing that I attended a Massachusetts Municipal Association workshop on this, and there's a deputy chief from Walpole that had probably 45 minutes to an hour speech on what the problems that the Massachusetts law enforcement officers are going to have with this new medical marijuana facility. And I truly believe that we are going to have trouble with it.
The problem that I think folks are trying to wrestle with is that we as a community voted 60-40 for compassionate care, for an alternative form of medicine to treat people with diseases. Nowhere in the law does it speak about where a business of that nature can be located. And that's all this is an attempt of, is to regulate where that use can be done. It's not a referendum or a mandate against the law. And by us trying to cite it doesn't say we're voting against the law or the will of the people. I've heard that a million times. We're not voting against the will of the people. We're actually allowing it to be built.
Some have suggested if it could have been distributed through pharmacies because the law would have been recognized under the federal law versus states' rights inserting their rights in this case, which has been an argument in this country since it began. So it's been a fundamental constitutional issue, and in this case the feds have not at this point said to the states it falls under federal law only, and the states have no rightfulness to act in this matter.
Over the last couple of days since the last public hearing, the selectmen and the planning board have been talking back and forth, and we've been looking at this bylaw that the selectmen presented and identifying what needed to be strengthened, what needed to be taken out, and so basically what we do, it was almost like a procedural thing tonight. What we did was the planning board voted to take unfavorable action, which will still allow it to go to town meeting. It will give us the chance and the selectmen chance to amend the bylaw as originally presented, and also make changes on town meeting floor.